the Team Rocket of Critical Role, the Game Awards, and Pokémon TCG Pocket's first expansion.
Everyone, come on out!
Welcome to 5 for Friday, our weekly look back at some of the biggest stories of the week. Today, we've got a Critical Role recap, our last of the year, some of our favorite Game Award announcements, some tabletop news, and of course, Pokémon TCG Pocket. Now remember, if you like these kinds of news videos, be sure to like and subscribe so we can keep making them. Now, on to the news. Ludinus, for all his evil and plotting, remains the Team Rocket of Bell's Hells, as he loses yet another encounter with the adventuring team in the latest episode of Critical Role. While Ludinus managed to drain Liliana's power, that Liliana being of course Imogen's mom, Bell's Hells ended up just trapping him in the force cage, and somehow he didn't have any legendary resistances and only a single reaction, so he couldn't really do much about it.
I figure why not take a bit of time and pontificate amongst ourselves before the end, huh?
Now the group did get some pretty good rolls when they were trying to find Liliana, rolling several natural 20s and basically turning what should have been a major encounter and a high-stakes affair into something pretty trivial. Either Matt has some kind of plan and Ludinus isn't the actual big bad of the campaign. Of course, Predathos is the big bad, but Ludinus is supposed to be the visible representation of all of that. Or Matt seems to consistently forget that a single wizard just isn't going to be a threat against high-level adventurers. Ludinus just has not really been a serious threat when actually being encountered in this campaign, which is a shame since he seems to be the key to unlocking Predathos and getting to the really juicy, meaty, world-ending stuff. Anyways, I guess we'll see what happens in 2025.
Well, it seems for the time being we have a moment to chat.
The Game Awards were this week, and there were several big announcements at the show. Of course, the biggest reveal was a new look at The Witcher 4, which will feature Ciri as the new protagonist. Now, Geralt will appear in the new game, don't worry about that. And also, Ciri has Witcher powers, which that kind of needs to be explained. But obviously, we're very excited about the new installment of this fantasy franchise and can't wait to find out more. Other news, Elden Ring is getting a spin-off game called Nightreign, which is basically a co-op boss fight similar to Monster Hunter, with some roguelite elements and also a little bit of Fortnite-y type stuff since the map shrinks over a 3-day period. We also saw new looks at Borderlands 4 and The Outer Worlds 2, both of which should be released next year and both of which are highly anticipated by my partner in crime, Hannah. Finally, Naughty Dog revealed a new game called Intergalactic, which appears to focus on bounty hunters and laser swords and Porsche spaceships. Seems interesting. One other note, despite Matt, Marisha, and Laura all being present at the Game Awards, there was no Critical Role video game announcement. Looks like we'll be waiting a little while longer for that. Shame to all those people who hyped up the Game Awards as a possible destination for that Critical Role video game announcement. Man, who does that? Pokémon TCG Pocket has announced their newest set, Mythical Island. This is the first expansion to Pokémon TCG Pocket and will add around 80 cards, not including alternate art cards, of course. As the set's name suggests, we'll be getting mythical Pokemon in the set, with both Mew and Celebi getting EX cards and Marshadow appearing as a non-EX Pokemon card. One interesting note is that there are 2 cards capable of knocking out that pesky Pikachu EX with one attack. Both Marshadow and Tauros have the ability to knock Pikachu EX out, although Marshadow can only do it if a Pokemon was knocked out in the previous turn. However, that should be enough to shake up the game's meta, which has been fairly clearly defined with Pikachu EX as the top dog. In board game news, we got 2 big announcements this week. The first is that Restoration Games is reworking the classic Battle Masters game, the Warhammer Fantasy spin-off that you had to play on the floor because the map was so big. That's getting rebooted as a Monsterverse game. Yes, Monsterverse, Godzilla. Battle Monsters, get it, will feature Godzilla, Kong, Mechagodzilla, and King Ghidorah, but will not feature the 5-foot by 5-foot mat that the original was played on. The mat for the game will be big, but not play on the floor big. In other reboot news, Modiphius is making a board game version of Paranoia, the 1980s dystopian sci-fi RPG. This new board game is described as uncooperative, and players basically try to backstab their way to get to the highest clearance level. The new game will be released in early 2025. And finally, Free League has announced Elven expansions for the One Ring and Lord of the Rings role-playing. Realms of the Three Rings, that's for the One Ring, and Keeper of the Elven Rings, that's for Lord of the Rings role-playing, will open the game up to the various elven cultures of Middle-earth, in addition to a bunch of lore stuff about those fun little elves. They're not little at all, they're taller than people, I think. Players will also have rules for playing as the High Elves and the Elves of Lorien, and Elf Lords, which are suitable for solo play. There are also new landmarks, new events, and new characters to use and campaigns as well, along with, of course, new enemies. Pre-orders are available now over on Free League's webpage. Well, that's all the news that we have for you this week. Let us know what your favorite story was in the comment section, and don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons to support Above the Table.